Welcome back to Healing America's Narratives, where we're navigating Chapter 8. And specifically today, we're taking a quick look at our ongoing, and I would say increasing confusion about truth and falsehood in both the real and virtual worlds. And just to put this into perspective, back in 1837, Ralph Waldo Emerson was reflecting on a powerful technology of his time, a technology that he both contributed to and consumed. And he wrote the following passage. I'm going to read this to you. Quote, "This is bad. This is worse than it seems. Books are the best of things, well used, abused, among the worst. What is the right use? What is the one end which all means go to effect? They are for nothing but to inspire. I had better never see a book than to be warped by its attraction clean out of my own orbit and made a satellite instead of a system. The one thing in the world of value is the active soul, the soul free, sovereign, active." So getting a book into print back in 1837 was not something you could do on your laptop, your phone, or in your home office. It was, a fairly rare event, and it was relatively challenging to get it done by our 21st century standards. Yet it was still possible to get into print something that was false or misleading. Okay. And yet Emerson believed that a book, which by definition, unless you wrote it yourself, was somebody else's accumulated knowledge or imaginings or opinions, could inspire us, but he also felt they could deprive us of losing our own agency, of getting caught, again, in his words, getting caught in somebody else's gravity system and becoming a satellite, and losing our own personal orbit or agency. So consider nowadays with the, I want to say abundant, but it's beyond abundance, with the number of sources of information we have at our disposal, online and offline, and the proven, the research, the investigated, the ongoing confrontations with deliberate misinformation and disinformation. So nowadays, not becoming a satellite, somebody else's orbiting infrastructure can be a full-time job. To really get to the heart, to stay attuned to one's own vision and soul with a sense of integrity is actually pretty difficult. So back several years ago, one of the advisors to the presidential candidate Donald Trump, a guy by the name of Steve Bannon, he basically said that that Democrats weren't the opposition, and that the real problem was the media, and the way we were going to deal with the media. This is, I'm not saying I would do this, but what he said, literally, quote, "We're going to flood the zone with shit." And they did that in order to degrade the information environment. Right? So in other words, to make it really difficult for the media, for legitimate journalists, to keep up with all of the falsehoods that were put out there. That's done intentionally nowadays. So if you consider what we've spoken about in all these previous episodes with regard to war, with regard to disenfranchisement, with regard to untrustworthiness, violence, greed, and excess, when Americans are unable, or in some cases can't be bothered, really trying to get to the heart of the matter beyond our own little bubbles of beliefs, we're in big trouble, right? The culture is in big trouble and society is in big trouble. So that's a really big issue, one that I'm going to name today, and we'll see evidence of it as we move forward. So again, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you the next time.